वेलकम एवरीवन। हेलो फ्रेंड्स, कैसे हो आप सब? होप एवरीवन इज डूइंग फाइन एंड कीपिंग हेल्दी। आई वुड रेट सर्टेन क्वेश्चंस and try to answer them. What are plant-based meat? Plant-based meat products are made to mimic properties found within natural meat and considered to be meat substitutes. They are made using plants and other non-animal products to look, taste, and feel like meat products. Moving on to the next paragraph. Plant-based meat products are made to mimic properties. Compared to meat products, plant-based meats for the most part offer consumer a more sustainable and environmentally friendly line of meat alternatives. They are made using plant and other non-animal products to look, taste, and feel like meat products. Moving on to the last line, the primary ingredients in the plant-based meat substitutes are typically soybean, wheat gluten, lentils, tofu, yuba, tempeh, and a variety of nuts. Why plant-based meat over traditional meat? Or what are the advantages of plant-based meat industry? So in an article provided by globalcitizen.org, which quote 9 reasons why plant-based meat is the food of the future. Going with the first point, ingredient breakthrough. When companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods, these are two companies which are based in United States of America, and they are into plant-based meat venture, and they are providing products into various parts of USA. When companies like these say their plant-based products taste like real meat, they are not exaggerating. After years of experimentations, brands have developed convincing meat replacement with plant ingredients like soybean root and pea protein. Moving on to the next paragraph. Restaurants like Terry New York use improved version of seitan derived from wheat gluten to create convincing chicken sandwiches, and other vegan locations like Baichol spice and prepared tempeh in such a way to resemble ground beef. So the first point that comes forward is the ingredient breakthrough. They are providing ingredients which are found beyond realistic and found beyond environmentally friendly and other benefits attached to these products. Moving on to the next tab, major investments. The most encouraging sign that plant-based meats are here to stay is how major meat producers are investing in the plant-based meat alternatives. Going on to the third paragraph, $100 million venture capital fund was created by New Capital Crops in 2018 to improve the manufacture and distribution of plant-based meats. So people are seeing potential in this plant-based meat industry, and they're investing in huge quantities into particular ventures which have been created all over the globe and are working towards these plant-based meats. As far as India is concerned, there is a startup by the name of Good Dog, which is working in this area, and it have received a seed funding from one of these capital funds. Moving on, these investments have helped plant-based meats companies significantly reduce their overhead costs, expand their productions. So investment funds and all the hedge funds or capital funds are investing rapidly and extensively into these startup based out of plant-based meats. Moving on to third point, mainstream recognition. There's a lot of recognition in US and UK going on for these plant-based meats and for the meat substitutes. There are various endorsements coming up of these into these countries, and people are readily accepting these products, and this industry is ever growing in US and the UK. As of now in India, people are reluctant to eat plant-based meat as compared to traditional meat, or people have not even tried these products because of the distribution channel, and there's no product availability in the nearby areas. Moving on to the fourth point, markets of scale. I will read the second paragraph. Our entire food system is geared towards growing feed crops that are then transported in feed to animals that are then processed. So basically, meat industry have a huge potential, and with the ever growing population around the globe, there will be more demand of it. And if we are able to substitute some of these products with plant-based meats, then definitely there's a long way ahead. Coming forward to the fifth point, product placement. It plays an important part. Every not in fact the plant-based meat, every product placement for every new product plays an important part in the sales of the product. If the product is not available in nearby areas, or the product is not available when needed by the consumer, that poses a major problem to the brand. Reading the third line from the first paragraph, when supermarkets began carrying plant-based meals in the dairy section, for example, sales skyrocketed, Weston said. As supermarkets began to place plant-based meats in the general meat section, sales are expected to similarly increase. So basically what it talks about is how to place the product in the consumer section. Consumer preference. So consumer preference have been rapidly changing from traditional meat to plant-based meats because of the disease or the unhygienist or the various things associated with the traditional meat industry. The majority of people, reading the first paragraph, majority of people who eat plant-based meats are not vegans or vegetarians, since they are omnivorous who want diversity in their diet. So these are some of the tabs which I've discussed. Now comes the tab which is the most important, and I feel that this tab would eventually create alternative plant-based meat industry. Health. Reading on to the second paragraph, in recent years, a growing body of research have linked the consumption of red meat to problems such as heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. Processed meat, in particular, have been found to be dangerous to human health. Apart from eating this, we have seen in the past and with the ongoing pandemic that there are various things linked with the traditional meat. Particularly, if you eat traditional meat uncooked or unprepared, then you know what the consequences. We have seen earlier various diseases like SARS, MERS, Ebola, which have been linked to this traditional meat. So there's a organization which are working towards replacing this traditional meat industry with plant-based meats for healthy reasons. Moving on to the next step, environmental. The environmental benefits of plant-based meats can't be overlooked. There are certain CHG emissions which are emitted by traditional meats which are not at par, in fact which are very above the plant-based meat industry. The various organizations, human rights, animal welfare organizations working in this area, who want people to move forward and switch from traditional meat to plant-based meat industry. What are the challenges in plant-based meat industry? So this is an article provided by Food Ingredient First, and it tells about challenges which have been faced by plant-based meat industry. And here goes the barrier one. Taste is foundational to the plant-based experience. So guys, whenever I see, let me explain. Since I am a non-vegetarian, whenever I go for a non-vegetarian food or any alternative that is able to replace this particular food, I look for the taste, texture, freshness, juiciness, and other among other things, what will the cost associated with it. So for any product to replace traditional meat, they have to match up the taste, they have to match up the experience that the consumer is gaining out of eating the traditional meat. And if they are able to match that, then consumers are willing to give up the traditional meat and eat plant-based meats. But whether they are able to match that, that's still a question. The second barrier would be nutrition regain focus. So this plant, here's a photo of a plant-based meat. So the nutrition focus. So as talked by many environmental or animal welfare or the scientists working in this area, the nutrition content of a plant-based meat is far beyond the traditional meat. Reading on to the second paragraph, the focus on better tasting meat alternatives has led to higher level of scrutiny on nutrition labels. such as the salt content in plant-based meats. Consumers are demanding better. They desire food that is nutritious, made with acceptable and functional ingredients while being sustainable and delicious. So these are the things which are consumer demanding, that the things should be nutritious and they should be at par with traditional meat. Because whenever person goes for traditional meat, they assume that having things full of protein and full of other vitamins and other minerals, and if they are not getting this particular ingredients or particular portion in the plant-based meats, they will reluctant to shift their focus to these products. In this label under scrutiny, so there's, see, because they're eating the weight meat, they are using the word meat. There are various organizations which have you know conducted a case on this particular organization that are working in the plant-based meat industry, because they are saying that you can't use the word meat or any other product like chicken or beef or pork, because you creating a plant-based product and comparing with traditional meat doesn't count as a meat. So there have been various scrutiny, there have been various cases going against these particular companies. Prominence of protein remains high. So again, the whether the protein content is enough, whether the ingredients are enough, whether taste sounds, whether the taste feels like the traditional meal, whether juiciness remain the same, these are still the questions which have been remained. And we have to, as in the starters have to work in a long, they have to work again and again to find a reasonable and sustainable model. New format, signal strategy, growth. So these are the technical terms which have been used. Let me explain in layman language. So what a person non-vegetarian person finds in a traditional meat, if that particular texture, flavor, freshness, juiciness, availability is able, if he's able to find in a plant-based meat industry, then I personally have no barrier moving into the plant-based meat industry. The second thing that comes to my mind would be the cost. If I'm getting traditional meat which is far below the plant-based meat, then I will go again for traditional meat as compared to the plant-based meat, because the cost plays an important factor in every product, be it any food product, be it any FMCG product, be it any luxury product. So cost plays an important part. Okay, now again, the next would be the sustainability or the product availability, whether the product is available to my nearby areas, whether they have the distribution channel, their distribution channel is enough to provide the product in my nearby stores, whether they have the the expiry period of the particular product, you know how the what's the texture of the particular product, how the product looks, how the particular product smells. So all these factors combined can make plant-based meat industry either a success or a complete failure. Future of plant-based meat. So here is an interesting article provided by the rising.co, and it says what's driving the surge of plant-based meats. A Deloitte study found that rising desire for plant-based meat actually isn't from vegetarian or vegans alone. Rather, it's a flexitarians who are largely driving the market. Flexitarians still eat meat who want to reduce their daily consumption for health or sustainability reasons. So basically flexitarians are those vegans who largely depend on plant-based products, but they eventually or they gradually or they some portion of their food consists of meat products. Moving on to the next tab, how did Meatless Farm Company come to be? Founder Mort Toff Beach started the company in 2016 when its family struggled to prepare meals that were both nutrition tasty but also didn't hurt the planet. 2 years later, the Meatless Farm Company engineered a recipe for meatless burger patties, mince, and sausages. So this is how it started, how the revolution of the plant-based meat industry started. What is the impact of going meatless? Recently, there has been huge push for more people to adhere to meatless Mondays. The flexitarian concept encourages people to go meatless for just one day of the week. So people are gaining that people are gaining interest in this particular plant-based industry, and this particular plant-based industry is seeing a huge surge in the people consuming their products. So this is what we are talking about. What's the future of the plant-based meats? Anyone can go out to fast food restaurant and try a meatless burger out of curiosity. However, companies like the Meatless Farm company wants to make sure plant-based meats can be served at home too. One of the biggest concerns with adopting a more flexitarian diet is that of convenience. Sure, it is easy to point fingers at those not following the perfectly sustainable diet. However, until recently, access to those options was fairly limited. So basically, what holds the future of plant-based industry is what the consumer is demanding. If this particular industry is able to fulfill the consumer demands and is able to put up their products at the right place, then for sure this particular product is the future of the meat industry. There are various articles provided over the internet why this particular meat industry is booming and with what's the future of this particular meat industry, and it is sometimes referred as the future of meat industry. And we can find out various articles which are working in this area. Reading on to the last paragraph, typically the typical consumer focuses on two things: accessibility and affordability. As companies continue to come up with some plant based meat options, we should expect more consumers to change up their diet, even if it's just for one day out of the week. So here's here this article ends, and by this article we are able to get a brief that particular industry is ever growing, and the major challenges that hold is accessibility and availability and texture and everything that we have talked about in the previous question. Now friends, I would like to conclude my discussion, and I would say plant-based meat products have a long way ahead. The texture, fragrance, cost, juiciness, freshness should be intact in order to consumers to buy these products. It is creating a substitute industry for the traditional meat industry, which is a very big thing. If this particular industry is able to get a large chunk of consumers eating their product, then it will be a huge success. Thank you for your time and consideration.